Hi everyone, it's Ayesha Chidolue. I'm an immigration attorney here in Orlando, Florida. I represent clients all over the United States and internationally. If you're interested in immigrating to the U.S., I will be happy to assist you regardless of what state you're in. My phone number here is 407-995-6567. I'm going to put that in the comment below as well. So today, I want to specifically focus on women that are in abusive relationships, right? So I'm sure some of you guys have heard me talk about, how you could self-petition for yourself if you are suffering from marital abuse, right? In your relationship, if you have marital problems and it rises to the level of abuse. But a lot of times, I do represent both women and men, but today I just want to focus on some typical kinds of abuse that women might experience that's not necessarily physical, because, most times when people hear abuse, they imagine that they need to be punched in the face or pushed or kicked. But sometimes there are other things that will arise to the level of abuse without any physical violence at all. So one of them is emotional abuse. So what do I mean by emotional abuse? Emotional abuse could be that you have a spouse who belittles you or embarrasses you or humiliates you in public, in front of their friends, in front of your own friends or your own family. It could also be, that they prevent you, right, from visiting or seeing your sick relatives or your dying relatives. Or it could even be that they're jealous of having you be on the phone with them or having a relationship with them. It could be that they're calling you racist names or making fun of where you're from, making fun of your ability to speak English or lack thereof, or even telling your families lies about you or their own families lies about you. So those are some examples of emotional abuse. Excuse me, because I'm going to be looking down and reading from my notes just because there's a lot. And then you have economic abuse. So economic abuse just means basically, it's more, think of it more of from the financial aspect. Sometimes, you have men who want to control you, and so they will make you not work or try to sabotage you or try not to file for you so you won't get your work permit, because they feel like, if you get your work permit and you stop working, that you have a voice of their own. And so as a way for them to control you, they will continue to sabotage your work, show up to your job, send messages to your boss to fire you. And then you could have the opposite, where you have a guy who basically doesn't want to work, and he's like, look, you go work and you go bring in the money, right? And asks you for money for different things or whatever it is. And even though they're working, or they choose not to work anymore, and sometimes they do it and feel like you owe them, that this is you owe them, because after all, you're lucky because you married them, a U.S. citizen, or them, a green card holder. So you should be the one working hard for the relationship. Another example is sexual or intimacy, abuse. So now, if you have a husband or a spouse that's basically calling you a prostitute or like a mail order bride, or they accuse you of sleeping around, knowing fully well that you're not sleeping around. A lot of times some men will actually be the ones in relationships with other people, but they will project that on their spouse and make it seem that, their spouse is doing something that they're not supposed to be doing when they're the ones doing that, right? Another example is, use of threats or coercion, and, which is usually another one that's very terrifying to people. Some spouses will basically threaten you that they're going to have you deported, they're going to call ICE on you, they're going to call immigration and withdraw your petition, or they're just going to call them and tell them that I have somebody that's undocumented here living here. Let's see, what else could they do? Or sometimes they even threaten you if you have kids, and say, your kids are not going to, that they're going to make sure that you don't have a relationship with your kids, or they're going to separate you from your kids, especially if you guys have kids together, which is very terrifying for most mothers, right? So that's one example. And then another example is just general intimidation, right? So how they act towards you when you get into arguments, because somebody doesn't have to physically hit you for you to feel fear that you're walking on eggshells, or well, what are they going to do, right? So you're going to be looking at things like, how, some people can just smash their phone, punch the wall, and all those things. So even though they're not physically hitting you, those are things that are still scary and threatening, especially if you're a smaller person and the person is much bigger than you, because you don't know if you would be next, right? or threatening to divulge family secrets to the public, threatening to release photographs about you or porn images about with you and posting that. So things like that. That's the example for like threats and intimidation. And then you also have isolation, where they isolate you from family and friends, and how you can also frame that as control, where they won't allow you to go to social events with your family and friends. They won't allow you to be on calls with your family and your friends, right? Or they want to be there while you're on those calls with your family and friends, so they know what's happening, right? Or if you don't speak English, they won't allow you to go get any kind of training to learn to speak English, or anything that basically will put you in a good place to be independent of them. So of course, this is not an exclusive list. There's so much more to abuse, but I just wanted to give you guys some ideas of things that will rise to the level of abuse, even though it is not necessarily physical, when you're dealing with a case of marital abuse and you wanting to self-petition for your green card by yourself. I work with a lot of individuals who are in the situation, so I would love to assist you if that is your situation, or at least, get you in for a consult to see what your options are. You can definitely give me a call. My number is 407-995-6567, and I hope you have a wonderful day.